Welcome to Nutty Buddy Sports. The LA Rams versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Hey, welcome back to Nutty Buddy Sports. Thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you like what you're hearing. This is going to be our instant reaction. The Rams just barely snuck by the Bucs. And with me to discuss this game real briefly for our instant reaction is my younger brother, Eric, who is obviously, if you've listened to the show before, a huge Bucs fan. Eric, how are you feeling right now?
Currently a sad Bucs fan, so yeah. But it was really exciting game to watch, to be honest. It was a lot of fun, so it's hard to complain.
Yeah, I could not. That game was such a roller coaster ride of emotions because, as you know, and the listeners would know by now if you've listened to me long enough, I'm a big Matthew Stafford backer. So I was kind of rooting for him. I want his career to be validated. And it looked like he made the biggest play of the game, obviously, because it was the last pass of the game, which was amazing. So let's just talk about the game a little bit, Eric. How did you feel about the game? What were some of your takeaways from the game, your reactions?
Well, I mean, I was glad that Tampa came back and made it a close game in the end because it looked like it was going to be a blowout. The Rams were a superior football team. I mean, top to bottom, they had better players in every position except maybe one. And even then, I would say Stafford has more arm talent than Brady. But it was a close game. The Bucs couldn't protect Brady almost all game, and you could see that, especially early on. And then I was excited actually when they started coming back. It looked legit, and the sad part is I did have mixed emotions at the end because, like you, with our dad being a Lions fan, we watched the Lions for a long time, and and when Stafford is on the other side, it's like, well, you want him to do well but they're against my favorite team, so no, don't do well. But it was like I was excited for him making the big play because I even said to mom and dad while we were watching the game, I'm like, you can't blame this loss on Stafford. He hasn't done anything to lose the game, but then he did something to win the game, and it was pretty exciting. So I quite enjoyed the game overall. So.
Yeah, it was super fun. I felt like I died 20 to 30 times. The fumbles on the Rams, it was so ridiculous, the number of fumbles. The 2 by Akers, 1 by Cup, the center threw it over Stafford's head. It was just crazy to me. And then every time it seemed like Brady, there's no chance he'll come back. Oh no, 4 minutes to go, down 2 touchdowns, no chance. For some reason, they're like, hey, let's have Ramsey, who obviously is the best, probably one-on-one corner in the league. But in that scenario, your goal is to stop him from scoring touchdowns, and they don't play a cover 2. They allow him to go one-on-one with Mike Evans. And I remember when Tom Brady on the Patriots, there was a time when Revis was Revis Island and Randy Moss was his wide receiver, and he was able to fit it into Randy Moss a couple times against Revis. So it's like, what are we doing here? It was just, but it was a fun game. It was super fun.
And I mean, if you want to go early on, there were a couple of calls that were, it's a new NFL. I get where the call comes from, and I didn't like the taunting on Ndamukong Suh, but at the same time, you can't shake your finger at the quarterback 4 different times and not expect something to happen. And then I didn't like the taunting by Tom Brady, but again, it's the new NFL. It's, you may not like it, but you got to learn to live with it. So it's just like, okay, those calls were made, didn't help Tampa's case at all. But in all honesty, it's like on the other side, you got the Rams 3rd and 14 or 16 or something like that. And the Rams score a 70-yard touchdown off of that because of blown coverage. Like, that's not referee's fault. That's not injury's fault. That's just not being executing a play at all. And then even that last play, Bulls calling a blitz. against a quarterback who's been hot against the blitz. I don't care what quarterback's back there, but all game he's been hot against the blitz. And you call that no safety help over the top. So all of a sudden you have Cooper Kupp one-on-one with the safety that, safety obviously had to play man, up on him. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, what do you think is going to happen? Antoine Winfield Jr. is only 5'9". He did what he could do. He tackled him.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, no, that's a beautiful point because really, when the game started, they said that Stafford, and if I heard them right, maybe you heard this too, but the game started and they said Stafford is like the best quarterback right now against pressure. Like all season, he's been the best quarterback when teams brought pressure. And they said, but Todd Bowles is going to do it. It's not going to stop him from doing his game plan. And it's like, why wouldn't it? Like, shouldn't you switch it up? Like, I think the Bucs have a solid front four. Like, why not switch it up? Like, but so that was sort of interesting. Sean McVay at the end, towards the end, his coaching was just baffling to me. They got Stafford because they didn't trust Goff, but they sort of played like Goff was their quarterback in some situations. That 3rd and 11, they ran a draw play. Now, granted, it did get them a 47-yard field goal. And I don't know, when's the last time when was the last time you saw a field goal that is 47 yards come up short?
Been forever. I mean, I would have expected it to miss right or left, but not short. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so I get what McVay was doing, but you're like, you got Stafford, go for it. Even on the play, the first fumble Akers had, down by the goal line it was second and goal. You could have had 2 shots, passes to the end zone. Like Stafford was dealing all game. I don't know why you wouldn't trust Stafford to throw 2 passes. Instead, they run the ball on second down because they knew they would have third down to get it in there. If they don't get it, they kick a field goal. But to me, that was them playing too conservative for my liking personally. So I feel like the Rams got away with one. And I feel like if Tampa would have had their array of weapons, especially Godwin, I don't think the Rams would have won this game the way they played.
Yeah, well, not just Godwin. I mean, if they would have had a healthy Tristan Wirfs, which is an all-pro right tackle. Now, granted, I'm not using the injuries as the reason they didn't win. They were outplayed by the Rams. Give all the credit to the Rams. But a lot of pressure early on was off the right side because, as I said last week on the podcast, their backup tackle was dealing with a quad injury. So you had him trying to stop Aaron Donald and company over on the right side, and then Brady has to step up, and there's a player right in his face. And it was great defense by the Rams. But yeah, no, it's if Tampa would have had a array of weapons, it might have been a different game. But I mean, McVay was coaching scared at the end. I mean, he was coaching not to lose the game, and it almost cost him the game. Well, I mean, almost cost him overtime. We don't know if they would have lost, but you can't coach scared, not against Tom. You've seen Tom Brady has done it a million times. He almost did it again. He wasn't the reason they lost that game.
Correct.
The defense was the reason, but in the end, it was just the Rams were a better team. But I did enjoy it, and I know I messaged you in the middle of the game. I hate that they got the call on Mike Evans correct.
Mm-hmm.
The unnecessary, whatever you want to call it, roughness, blow to the head, whatever you want to call it. I hate that they got the call correct because the ball hit the ground before the player hit the head. And it's like, that is a dead play. It's 4th down. It's a turnover on down. Yes, it goes to Tampa. I mean, it goes to the Rams, and they lose 15 yards. I really wanted that to be a first down for Tampa, but I'm kind of glad that the refs called it correctly because I would have hated if that's how Tampa would have won. That's not, in the end, there was no really huge questionable call. It was a good game. The Bucs defense started stepping up when they needed to, but it was a little late, a little tardy to the party. But
there you go.
it still was. It was an exciting game to watch, though. I mean, like in the fourth quarter, the first half was not exciting unless you're a Rams fan.
Right. And it's funny because it was like the Rams did their best to keep the Bucs in the game. I just felt like they could have won this game like 45-10 if they didn't turn the ball over so much. You know what I'm saying? Like Akers in the goal line, Cup on a drive that they're going downfield, Akers with another fumble, the center over the top, that was on like that was in the Bucs territory. And I don't even know what the center was doing there, because Stafford he was still like dissecting the play. He was looking back and forth and the center just like snapped it over his head. Just a real quick, go back to that Tom Brady taunting call. It's interesting, not taunting, what was it? Unsportsmanlike conduct. It's interesting because like I told Megan too, it was like, it was a miss, because Von Miller got under his helmet. It was a missed call. But at the same time, it's like quarterbacks get like all the calls. They miss one and like the quarterback freaks out. It's like, Tom, settle down. Okay. You normally get that call. Tom Brady normally gets that call. Let's settle down. I felt like he didn't respond the way he should have. And he was off like most of the game too.
Well, I mean, he was rattled. I think the thing is that it reminded me of, I mean, he was a younger man back then, but when the Giants were always getting pressure on him, he started getting rattled. He started trying to get happy feet a little bit. It's always been the key on how to beat Brady is get pressure on him with your 4 or 5 guys. If you can get pressure on him with 4 or 5 guys and still somewhat cover, you have a good chance to beat him. And the Rams did that all game.
Especially up the middle, because he loves to step up in that pocket. I text you when he completed, I think, that pass to Gronkowski when Von Miller came off the edge and like he just did that little like slide up in the pocket move and shook Von Miller off. It was such a beautiful pass, but there was nobody up in front of him, so he was able to step on up in the pocket. But after a while, it was just like with Aaron Donald pushing up the center with Miller and Floyd coming on the edge. He did not have a whole lot of time. And you're right with the injuries that did not help him. It was a tough night for Brady. But it was still a great game. He almost came back and won it. Like his team almost came back and won it. So that was fun.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing is that like I love seeing Mike Evans beat Jalen Ramsey just because he gets paid like he should, but I don't feel like he gets credit as the type of receiver as he is. I don't think people think of him as a top 10 receiver, and I believe he is a top 10. He might be on the fringe, but he's definitely close to the top 10 receiver in this league. And you never know what would have happened. It's funny because even if you take away the injuries, Suckup missed a 47-yard field goal. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, there's the tie game right there. So did Matt Gay, missed a 47-yard field goal or something like that short too. And so it's like, in the end, they were coming back. It was a good game. The Rams just made the correct plays at the end. I don't feel like the Rams had that many mental mistakes or big penalty mistakes all game. I feel like they played smart football. And they took advantage of Tampa's mental mistakes, and that's what good teams do. But it just makes
which I agree 100%. I was actually going to mention that because it's like that's where the penalties came in and hurt the Bucs, especially early on with the taunting calls or whatever. And it was surprising to me because the veteran team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? So you would think that would be the Rams making those mental mistakes, but you're right, absolutely right. The Bucs were the ones that made those mental mistakes even early.
Oh yeah, Sue is Sue. He was bound to get a 15-yard penalty eventually. It's just who he is. Brady, that did surprise me. But my big thing is that blown coverage between the miscommunication between the safety and the cornerback and who to pick up Cup on the 70-yard bomb. Mm-hmm. Everyone can point to the last play of the game. I get it. There should have been safety to help, and that was just a bad call by Todd Bowles, who, if I was a team looking at head coaches, at first I was like, yeah, look at Todd Bowles, but like a play like that should make you hesitate a little bit because he wasn't willing to adjust to what the quarterback was beating. He just wanted to continue to, what is that? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. that's not a good look, especially if you're supposed to be if you want to be a head coach again, you need to be able to adjust.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point that I thought of too. Is like, you can't go in the game like, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and nobody's going to stop me. You got to adjust to the quarterback. The offense, you know, especially if what you're doing is not working, eventually you have to stop. Matthew Stafford, real quick, I just want to read his stats real quick, if that's okay. 28 of 38. So he only had 10 incompletions, 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. That's awesome to me. Again, just so that he gets the validation. And that's why I wouldn't have been too mad if the Rams lost, is because I felt like Stafford was definitely not the reason they would have lost. To me, it would have been them coaching scared. McVay would have got some heat and the fumbles, because that killed them more than anything, the fumbles. But yeah.
If you're a Rams fan, how concerned are you about Cam Akers? That was 2 big fumbles. Like, I mean, that one at the end of the half, that would have put the game away probably. And then when they're trying to put the game away, it looks like it was going to be 3rd and 1 maybe. And all of a sudden Sue makes a great play. Yes. But still, it's like, if you're a Rams fan, are you a little concerned about that? That's 2 big turnovers in inopportune times. You don't want. You might have got away with it against Tampa because you were up by so much points, but you can't get away with that against. Well, maybe you might be able to against the Niners, because I
was thinking the same thing. Like, Garoppolo's going to throw 5 your way, so there's going to be a chance that could happen as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be yeah. Anyway.
But the Bills and between the Bills and the Chiefs, that you can't make those mistakes against them. They will take advantage of it, and that's what you have to look at. I mean, I will not take any credit away from the Rams. They outplayed Tampa. They deserved that win. I was so saddened at the end of the game when it was a blitz.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when Tim Tebow threw over the top of the Steelers defense.
Yeah, with Thomas. Yeah, Demaryius Thomas. Yeah.
It just reminded me of that's how he called that play. It's like, hey, we don't believe you will make this throw in time. And Stafford been doing it all the time. And, you know, quarterback that's probably used to being under pressure is Matthew Stafford from linemen, because, well, the Lions never had a good offensive line. It took them forever to get a decent one.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that was just not a good play call. So great game. I just want to give credit to the Rams defensive line as well. I do think the Rams have a really good shot at beating the Niners, but the Niners have shown they can beat the Rams as well. So that's going to be a good game. Real quick, Eric, before we end the instant reaction, first of all, any final thoughts?
No, I got nothing major. That I know of.
Nothing major. Real quick, Fournette had a pretty good game. He only had 13 carries, but he almost averaged 4 yards a carry. So, and Mike Evans looked good as well, which I always like for you, because I'm a big Mike Evans fan as well. Anything you'd like to see the Bucs do this offseason? First, real quick, what do you think about Brady? Brady comes back?
Well, I would hope so. He hasn't done anything to deserve that should show that he should retire. But if he doesn't come back, then you have to really hope that 1 year under Brady for Kyle Trask that they drafted last year, that he turns out to be a good quarterback. Otherwise, you got to look at some free agency options. I would love for them, if Brady doesn't come back, to take a shot at someone like Russell Wilson or something like that. They can, because their team is built to win now if they resign Godwin. And I'm iffy on Leonard Fournette. Not that I don't want him back, but I don't want big money thrown at a running back. So
that's wise.
Yeah. So it's like, if they re-sign Godwin and re-sign Jensen, and if Brady doesn't come back, then they need to figure out who's going to be the answer at quarterback, because they don't have an answer, I don't think, behind Brady. Or the one guy they drafted last year, who knows? But he's not going to bring them to the promised land next year, and that's what the team is built for right now. So it's all depending on Brady. What he decides he wants to do, then I'll let you know what I want Tampa to do.
Okay, yeah. So we'll revisit that. But one last question, really quick, prediction for the right now. How are you feeling right now? Championship game next week, Sunday, Rams or 49ers?
I'm going to say Rams. I think it should be relatively easily, but the Niners, I thought that last week too with the Packers, or this week, I guess, with the Packers, and I was proven wrong really quick. So, but the Rams, just they're the better team. They got the better offense, and I do believe they have the better defense too. So Rams, I believe, should win next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Right now, my early pick is the Rams, but I picked them to go to the Super Bowl since preseason. I have it recorded. I will replay it if they get to the Super Bowl. I'm going to replay my prediction because I was kind of coerced into it. Like the guys on the podcast like forced me to pick the Rams, I feel like, but it was good. They were just cheering me on. So that's awesome. Okay.
Really quick. I just want to say, unreasonable, no logic behind it, but if I don't care who wins between the Bills and the Chiefs, I'm picking the Bengals to win next week. No logic whatsoever. I'm just gonna ride with them. Okay.
well I'm gonna get your picks whether you're on late on a podcast later this week or not. I'll still get your picks. So once the middle of the week rolls around, I really think actually whoever wins between the Bills and the Chiefs is going to win the Super Bowl. That's kind of how I feel. But that game is happening right now. So we're going to get to watching that game. Thanks, Eric, for joining me. This was instant reaction of the Buccaneers and the Rams. What a great game. What a great pass at the end to Cooper Kupp. Amazing, Stafford. We love you. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you'd like to listen to some of the podcasts that we've done, especially instant reaction for yesterday games, that will be posted in the link below. Thanks a lot, Eric, for joining me.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for listening to Eric and I talk about the Rams versus the Bucs. What was your thoughts on the game? Comment down below. Please subscribe and listen to the channel. If you'd like to hear our instant reactions for yesterday's games on Saturday, click on the link down below. Thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to you guys soon.